Welcome back to my nightmare. Now, I don't want this channel to be a Storytime channel necessarily, and I don't want to be like one of those kind of content creators who tries to shift the blame. Like, you won't believe this crazy thing that happened to me. And it's like, I would like to tell you, but I think every story has a validity to it. Like, every story has validity. You can experience something and it's valid to you and how you experience something, and someone else might have experienced something differently. It doesn't make their story more or less true. It doesn't make your story more or less true. It's just a difference in the experiences that you've had. So I'm about to tell you a story of when I feel I borked my own life. Honestly, I effed myself. Are there going to be people that, if they watched this, felt like I'm trying to make them a bad guy? Maybe. But the unfortunate truth is you're always going to be a villain to someone, you know? So this is a story about how I made choices that effed me and my decisions, and I am suffering those consequences. Are there side characters in this story that don't come out great? Probably. But I just need you to know I am taking the blame right now for all of the things I have done. I'm not saying I am blameless. I'm not victimizing myself. I'm just giving you a moralistic story that kind of says stick to your guns because you're probably right and the people around you might be wrong. This is not the first time I've wanted to self-publish. Back in the early 2010s, I decided I was going to write this fantasy book. And it was actually it was like a paranormal romance. It was vampires, you know, because I've had an obsession with vampires my whole life. Thanks, Dark Shadows. The original one, because that was a good show. So I decided I'm going to write this like vampire romance, right? At the time I was with someone who was supportive, but like in a weird way. So I'm with this person. This is my long-term partner. I was with them for a really long time. And like at the time I was working a retail job, and I knew I didn't want to be a 40-hour-a-week worker anymore. I wanted to do something online. And all of the attempts I had at making an online career up until that point were failing. Like, I wanted to be a blogger, but I was good at actually uploading the content at a set time. Like, I was uploading posts 3 days a week, I was good at the content creation. I was bad at the marketing part. And I was good at marketing the store that I worked for. Like, that was great. I was great at marketing that. But for some reason, marketing my own stuff was a problem. Still is, honestly. So I was working this retail job and I decided I'm going to write a book because I haven't written anything since I was in high school, and creative writing had always been part of my personality. My core makeup involved writing stories, and I had stopped. A lot of it, I think, had to do with the fact that I was always afraid of what this person was going to think of me. They were very smart. They were very preppy, and I wasn't. They came off, even though they were poor, like even though they were raised about as poor as me, they came off like they had like this class that I just always wanted to emulate. Like, I always wanted to impress this person. And I had kind of stopped writing because there was always like a critique about what I was doing. Like, there was a critique about the type of books I liked to read. There was a critique about like my obsession with like supernatural. Like, there were criticisms that were, I don't want to use the word microaggression, but kind of like a microaggression, honestly. Just little things that when you look at them individually are not bad, but when you look at them as the giant snowfall blizzard that they are, it was hard. Like, so when we got together, I was 21. And I stopped writing for a couple years. And so I'm like 24, 25. I might be like 26 at this point. And I decided I'm going to write this book. I'm going to write this book that I had been trying to write since high school. I had written it once in high school and just abandoned it from start to finish. I was like, I'm going to write this and this is going to be great. And I'm going to self-publish it. I don't need a publisher. I can just go online through Smashwords and just upload this book, right? But this person also kind of pointed out regularly what a fuck up I am. I'm not allowed to say fuck up, probably. Like, I'm not monetized, but I still feel like I'm not allowed to say curse words. Like, I get one. That's it. This person would routinely kind of undermine me a little bit. And like, oh, well, you're not really going to finish that. You're not going to finish that. You quit things all the time. And at the time, I didn't know I was neurodivergent. I didn't learn that until last year, actually. So I'm an undiagnosed neurodivergent chaos monster. And this person is just telling me, you always quit things. You always abandon things. You never finish anything. I'm like, I'm going to finish this book, right? So for a while, a couple months, I come home. My whole thought is just consumed with finishing this book. Gosh, it's getting hard to like talk. My whole thought is just consumed with finishing this book. Now, I'm not a long writer. Like, I max out at about 30,000 words. I can stay with a book for 30,000 words. I can give you a whole story if it's a short story. I am not a long writer. At the time, I thought you had to be. I thought in order to get a publishing deal or have anything of worth, that I had to have this like 100,000 word monster book, right? To me. Like, I was like, this is just so long. And all of the fanfics that I like to read are longer. They're like 140, 150,000 words. So I thought in order to be a writer, I had to make this long book. And my whole life was just consumed for a couple months. And it wasn't actually that long, to be honest. I mean, I feel like it was probably only 4 or 5 months that I worked on this book. But I was planning it. I was plotting it. I had notebooks. I had binders. I was writing it constantly. Actually, his mom was really sweet. She gave me this like really nice handbag. Because she wanted me to have like a very professional writer handbag that I could put my laptop in when I go to the coffee shop and write and look like a writer. It was really, she was really, I miss her. She was like the sweetest woman I've ever met. The problem is I get done this book. I've finished this book. And about that time, I've met my friend, Megan, Spicy Mags on Tumblr. And we started writing like a roleplay game for fun. We were writing this roleplay game for fun for the two of us. We just were playing with each other. We called it our game and we were writing. So I finished the first draft of this book. In the meantime, my partner at the time has met this guy, right? And they're both guys. Like, I'm talking about 2 cisgendered white men, straight men. And he's met this guy at the bookstore that he worked at. And he decides to start like hanging out with him because he's a writer and he thinks it's good for me to have writer friends, right? He wants me to start having more writer friends. Because what Megan and I are doing is not like real writing. It's just like, you know, a game for fun. And really, he thinks I need to like listen to this writer guy, right? And that might not be how he meant it to sound, but that's how it sounded to me. And again, all stories have validity. Just because it's not the intention of the thing doesn't mean that is not the outcome of the thing. So he's making friends with this guy who ended up being a little smarmy, in my opinion, from what I know about him. And it's because he wants me to have a writer friend, right? And the two of them kind of start to gang up on me a little bit, gently, not a lot, but like very passive aggressive, undermining kind of, well, instead of self-publishing like you wanted, and like I was designing my own book covers because I was an art major. So to me, I felt like I could. I was designing my own book covers. I was trying to have my friends do the editing so that I didn't have to pay a lot of people to do editing. I had a plan to self-publish this book online and I was going to take care of it, right? Well, do you really want to do that? No one's going to read it. No one reads those kinds of things. It's not really like a good idea. Like, someone can just steal your work. Like, you really need to like work on get a real publishing deal. Like, you want to be a real writer. And then they started kind of shitting on the writing I was doing with my friend Megan. Now, Megan and I played this game that we created for years. I am not joking. We probably have 500,000 words of this game between the two of us. We wrote whole books, like, as a game. Well, like, you're writing this game and it's really not real writing, and it's just like, oh my God. And it just got to be a lot. It got to be so much. And so I just decided it wasn't worth writing at all. I still played my game with Megan because it was a game. But I just stopped writing entirely. Like, I had just gotten it back from like, I just gotten over the psychological, like, hump of this guy doesn't like what I'm writing to write this book. I write a whole book with and then, like, the clincher is I let him read it because I'm stupid. Because I respected his opinion. He's a very smart man. Like, he's a very smart guy. So I was like, here's my book. And I'm not joking. He came out of the bedroom with it in his hand and he just looks at me and goes, oh my God, you wrote a real book. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, no, you have like a narrative and there's plot arcs and character development. Like, you actually wrote like a real book. And I'm just sitting there going, that was the point. Yeah, I wrote a real book. And just his surprise that I had written from start to finish an entire book was just like, it was really hurtful. I'm stupid. And after listening to them tell me my idea could not possibly work, and after listening to them tell me that I could not possibly make any money self-publishing, I just stopped doing it. Now, knowing what I know now about hybrid publishing, smaller publishers, this guy that he was friends with was like one step up from self-publishing. Like, he really wasn't above self-publishing either. He just happened to have somebody with money that was doing it for him under the guise of being a publishing house. I'm not saying don't come at me. I'm not saying small publishers aren't real. They are. But when put in the context of this guy being a jerk, please let me know if I'm wrong. Like, he was kind of a jerk. Like, the stigma around self-publishing is so effing stupid. Like, that's a whole different video for when my voice comes back. So I put my dreams of being a writer away. I just went, fuck it. Oh, that's number 2. I just went, screw it. If you don't believe in me, if you think I'm so dumb that I couldn't have possibly written a book by myself, if you don't think it's going to work, I'm just not going to do it. You've taken all the fun away from it. You have sucked all of the fun out of what should have just been a fun thing for me. So, yeah. So I stopped. I stopped self-publishing. The whole journey just ended there. Now, this was in like 2012. Fast forward to the last 6 months. I have spent the last 6 months listening to every podcast I can find about self-publishing. And what I have learned was, if I had just stuck to my guns about the self-publishing thing, is I might be making a full-time career as an author right now. Because 2012 was like the boom. It was like the big boom in self-publishing, where authors really started to gain momentum. And if I had just kept uploading my blog and working hard at my books, I might actually not have to go to work at an office job every day. I might be making a career self-employed. Some of the people that started at that time have made so much money that their spouses now work for them. Meanwhile, I'm still going to the office from 9 to 5. Well, 8 to 5, because corporations have now started taking your lunch break unpaid and making you work longer. So now I take full responsibility. I made my choices. They were my actions. But I look back at the younger version of myself and just think, God, what if I hadn't listened to this person or that person and I had just believed in myself even a little bit? My life could be completely different. I wanted to do YouTube videos at that time, and he told me that he didn't want me like filming in the house. I mean, he doesn't remember saying it, but there was definitely like a, ew, you don't want to put that online. You don't want to put yourself online that way. And now I look at like artists that came out of that time that had YouTube channels, and I could have had a more creative and successful career that way, and I wouldn't have to keep doing what I'm currently doing, because let me tell you, I don't love it. I'm great at it. I am good at my job. Like, I am a good administrative assistant. Like, I am great at my job. But I literally every day wish I were doing something else. Like, and it's just sad. Like, it is just sad. Like, if I had just believed in myself a little bit, then I would have hit it right at the boom and I would have made some cash and I would have been like, see you, loser, a lot sooner. Because, yeah. So, moral of the story, please believe in yourself today. And it's never too late. Yes, we might not be in the same kind of boom that we are right now, but I do have a channel and I do have a voice, sort of. And I do have writing projects that I'm going to continue coming out with because I don't want to regret not doing anything. And I just hope that that's what you take away from this. Like, don't regret not doing something. Like, do the thing as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. Because I'm almost 40 and I just really wish that I had believed in myself when I was younger, because I think I could have had a lot different of a life. And that's all. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, sharing it with a friend. Make sure you go outside, take a walk, get a snack, take a nap, take care of you. I'll see you next time. Bye.